Yeah, well, ironically, the story about the Clippers starts with that FIBA run. The Clippers saw me during that time when I was with Team USA. When we were actually had a training camp in Houston. So we started in Houston and then we left for Argentina. Well, when we are playing and stuff like that, I'm with Jeff Van Gundy, and Jeff tells me, he's like, look, he's like, you're going to be a four-man for me. And I'm like, what? Like, I've been a guard since like my junior year of high school. Like, I've been a guard all the way through. And then he's like, I need you to play the four because we need some physicality at the four, and your shooting is going to provide space as well. It's going to be great for us. I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, just hustle, rebound, play defense, and you'll get your shots. Like, I'll make sure that you get your shots. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. So go through the run. Then I get the call, and my agent calls me, and he's like, hey, like, the Clippers are interested. And I'm like, oh, well, great. What are they talking about? Training camp? He was like, yeah, they want to bring you in for training camp. They got these new two-way deals, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm down to try it. So go there. And first day I'm in LA, I land, I get to the hotel they put me up in. I walk into the gym and the guys are already there lifting. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows who I am. They're lifting, all that kind of stuff. And I find out they're about to play. So I'm like, oh, man, I'm probably just going to have to sit and watch. They ain't going to pick me up, nothing like that. So they play the first game or whatever. And I see the other guy that was a two-way at the beginning of the season, Jamil Wilson. He's in the game and he's playing in the pickup game and everything. And so they're playing. And so then game ends and a couple guys are like, all right, I'm done. And other guys are like, oh, I still want to play. Like, and Patrick Beverly looks at me and he goes, yo, come over here. I'm like, all right. So I walk over to him and he goes, what's your name? I was like, CJ. He's like, all right, bet. You got to guard Lou Will. First time on an NBA court with NBA players, and I have to guard Lewis Williams, perennial sixth man of the year every year. And I'm like, all right. Like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, what's the worst that could happen? So I guard him and I'm playing hard, like everything. Boo, boo, boo. Next thing I know, I end up getting a shot in the corner to end the game. Bang, I make it. They're like, you got to make the free throw too. So I'm like, all right, bet. So I go up to the line and I get the ball. And as I get the ball, Pat Bev literally like walks right by me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I make the free throw. And they was like, oh, so you got a little game to you. You can handle this. And I'm like, man, I just walked away. I wouldn't even care. I didn't even care. I was like, all right, whatever. And so I went and I played the rest of that day. Well, we get to training camp. And here's a moment where I realized I had a real shot at being in the NBA. We're in Hawaii. We're playing against the Raptors for 2 games in Hawaii at the University of Hawaii. And I am on the end of the bench. So I'm at the end of the bench and I'm like, man, I'm probably not going to get in today. Like, I don't even know. It's like 9 seconds left in the first half. And I hear Doc go, CJ, come on, get Lou. I sprinted to that scores table. I was like, yes. I took all my stuff off and I went in there and I guarded DeMar DeRozan, which I had guarded DeMar when I was in high school. So it wasn't no shell shock there or anything. So I guarded him. We go into the half. And then I was like, man, he threw me in during the first half with all the like normal guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got a real chance. So then, the next game I played a little bit more. So then we head back and everything. And then we were in practice one day. And there were a couple guys that, as you know, they bring guys in for training camp, but strictly to get their G League rights and everything.
Yeah.
So there were a couple guys there that were on those exhibit. Well, now it's called an Exhibit 10, but at the time it was Exhibit 9. They were on Exhibit 9. And so we're in practice and Lou Will is going and I'm standing next to Lou. And this other guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a guy that was on Exhibit 9. He was like, hey, can I get a rep? And Lou goes, yeah, go ahead. And I'm standing next to Lou and he looks at me and he goes, probably going to be on the G League team anyway. And the fact that he said that to me made me be like, oh, so you think I'm going to be on the roster? I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, all right, bet. Like I didn't say anything. I just laughed and everything. And then, going through the season, started out, I had to go to the G League camp, played a few games with the G League team because I got the two-way deal. So I was on the two-way deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, next thing I know, this is how crazy it is on a two-way deal. Well, how it was on a two-way deal until they changed the rule. I'm in Reno, playing the Reno Bighorns. Finish the game. I get a call. CJ, you got a 6:00 flight to go to Atlanta. I'm like, whew, okay. Fly to Atlanta. No, I'm sorry. Flew to New Orleans. It was New Orleans. Flew to New Orleans. We in New Orleans. They're like, all right, game's over. I don't even play. Like I dress, but I don't play. So then they're like, all right, you got to fly 6:00 in the morning back to the West Coast. I fly back. I land. I'm on my way to the gym because we had practice. The G League team had practice. They call me. They're like, we need you in OKC. Fly from there to OKC. So I get to OKC and play 6 seconds. My first NBA minute was 6 seconds at the end of a half to guard Paul George after he already had 25 in the first half. I come in the game. I made a mistake right away. Like I tried to jump it a little bit. I was a little aggressive, jumped it.
Yeah.
He got it. My teammate helped. They threw it to Alex Abrinas. Alex Abrinas missed the shot, but I was like, "Whew, thank God he missed the shot." So I walked back into the locker room. Doc talks. I'm on my way back out. I'm walking with DeAndre Jordan, and me and DJ just laughing, like how we always were. We laughing and joking. And Doc goes, CJ. And we both turn around because he said it so fast. We didn't know if it was CJ or DJ. So we both turned around and we looked. And he was like, I'm talking to C. Will. I was like, all right. So he was like, look, bro, like this is how Doc talks, by the way. He's like, bro, I might need you to go in there and stop Paul George, bro. Just be ready. I'm like, wait, he's taking 15 shots and has 25 right now.
But you get to stop him.
But I got to stop him if I want to keep my job. So I was like, all right, cool. So the whole half, I'm like staying stretched out, everything. Never calls my number. I'm like, cool. They're like, all right, you got to go back to the G League team. So I fly back for like 2 days. I'm there 2 days. They call me again. Hey, we need you in, where was it? Charlotte, I believe. Yes, it was Charlotte. Hey, we need you in Charlotte. Fly out 6:00 in the morning. Fly to Charlotte. Game. I get my first NBA bucket. Lou Will kind of mid-posted. I was cutting. I got a reverse layup. First bucket in my home state. In an arena I had been in plenty of times. And what's crazy, I didn't even react. Like, I made the layup, and I was just like, all right. And I'm back down the court. It didn't, I thought I would cry. I thought I would, have some emotion. I didn't. I had literally no emotion. I was just like, oh, I made a layup. Good. And get back on defense. So after that game, they tell me, all right, you're going to stay and you're going to fly with the G League team. Well, 4:30 in the morning, I'm on my way to the airport to go back to California. They're like, need you in New York. All right, fly to New York. I'm there. We played a game. I played a little bit. They tell me, all right, cool. You're going to go back with the G League team again. I'm like, all right. At this point, I'm like, I'm waiting for this call to go back to wherever we're going. And I looked at the schedule. It said Atlanta. I am at the airport. They called me and said, hey, change the flight. You're going to Atlanta. I fly to Atlanta. I get to the arena. Like, I don't even get there in time to, get to the hotel. I literally have all my bags with me at the arena. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it's before the game, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm zoned out, everything. So I'm just like, all right, whatever I got to do to get through this game. If I get called, I got to just do what I got to do. I got to play. Doc comes over to me. He says, CJ, how you feeling? I'm like, Doc, I wanted to say something different, but it just came out before I could even think. I said, Doc, I'm a zombie right now. I said, Doc, I'm tired. I'm a zombie right now. And he goes, well, hate to say it, but you're playing a lot tonight. I instantly went. There was a coffee machine in the locker room. I went straight to that coffee machine, and I was going. I had 2 cups of coffee before the game. I come in. I end up scoring 4 points. Played very well, and then they were like, "All right, instead of having you go back with the G League team, we know how hectic this schedule has been. You get the rest. We're going to keep you here. Your family lives in Warner Robins. You can go home. You can be with your family for Thanksgiving, or you can stay here and bring them up here, whatever, like however you want to do it." So my parents, obviously, they knew I was in Atlanta, so they had driven up, and they were in Atlanta, so we all stayed together for Thanksgiving. So I leave and I go back to the G League team. Then we get hit with injuries. And when we get hit with injuries, I come back and it's like, you know, I don't know what my role is going to be. I don't know if like I'm going to be at the end of the bench or what. But I had been playing well with the G League team at the time. So when I'm playing well, they're telling me like, hey, like, you know, keep improving day by day. So I'm like, cool. So when I get with the NBA team, I'm expecting to be a cheerleader, like at the end of the bench, like I had been all season.
Mm-hmm.
We go to Houston. We're in Houston, and it's shoot around. And he said, all right, the first team, Jawan, CJ Williams, blah, blah. I said, wait, what? We get on the court. Here's the kicker. All right, matchups. CJ, you got James Harden. I said, oh my goodness. I have to guard the leading scorer in the NBA in one of my first starts. Oh, because I forgot. I started at Minnesota before that. But then I can't, and then we are in Houston and I was guarding James Harden. So I'm like, man, gosh, what do I do? Like, and then they tell me, CJ, we're gonna leave you on an island with him because we're gonna just shut down everybody else. He's going to score. Doc tells me he's going to score 50, but we're gonna just let everybody else like not be able to score and see how it goes. Ironically, we do that. He has 50. Jawan Evans ended up
Casually, he has 50.
Yeah, he had 50. I can't lie. It was he's one of the hardest people I've ever guarded in my life. But yeah, he has 50. But Jawan Evans guards him at the end of the game, and we get a couple stops, and we end up winning the game. So, you know, I'm all happy and stuff. And then they're like, all right, well, you might have to go back with the G League team. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, it's cool. It's part of the plan. Nope. I end up staying with the team the rest of the way for the most part. So it's like, this is like at the end of November, in the beginning of December. And I just started playing. And the more I played, the more I got confidence and everything. And then we played against the Atlanta Hawks. And, you know, I go into the game. At this point, I had a rhythm in the game. Like, I knew Lou Will was the number one option. I knew that I was molding myself to be just aggressive. And it almost turned out to be that I was the second option at the time. So I was, you know, like I was feeling good and everything. So going through the game, I had a great first quarter. Second and third, I don't score, but I'm playing great defense. In comes the fourth quarter. Now, here's another part that gave me confidence. During the third quarter of that game, I had shot faked and I went into the lane and I got there and I shot a floater and I missed. Well, Sam Cassell goes, CJ, man, stop shooting that. Stop shooting that. Shoot the pull-up. That's what you do, blah, blah, blah. And I hear him and I'm like walking to the sideline. I'm like, all right, I hear you, Sam. I hear you. So I get to the bench. Doc talks. I come out the huddle. Doc goes, bro, come here. I walk over to him. He said, and this is exactly what he said because I remember verbatim. He goes, bro, listen, bro. If you want to shoot that, shoot it. You can play. You're here. You're starting. You're one of our guys right now. Shoot it. Just make sure you get back on defense. That's all I care about. Instantly, confidence goes all the way. So I was like, all right, cool. So we get towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, and, you know, there was a couple plays. I had like gotten a little driving layup, shot the floater, made it. That tied the game up. Well, last play of the game. We draw it up, and it's to get Lou to his left hand because that's his preferred hand. Well, Lou gets the shot, and he shoots it, and it hits the back of the rim, and it bounces really high up. I was in the corner, and I shoot through the elbow because that's what they had taught us from the corner. So I shoot through the elbow, and Wesley Johnson gets the rebound. Natural instinct of mine. Wes has it. I look around. I'm looking at myself, and I'm like, I'm open. So I said, Wes, and I get it. And in the play, if you watch the play, I immediately react to having the ball. But in my head, I'm like, oh, crap, I have the ball. And so the first thing I do, I was like, I got to shoot this. So boom, and I go into my move. And when I went between the legs, Torian Prince like reaches and he kind of hits me. And I'm like, oh, I can't get to the basket. So I step back. At the same time, Lou's like literally asking for the ball. And I'm like, ah. And so I shoot it. And when I shoot it, I'm like, that's good. Like, you know those shots.
Yeah.
When you release it, it's like, it's good. So I'm like, that's good. I'm like, how do I react? Because I know it's going in. And it goes in, and I just turn around, and I did the first thing that came to mind, and I was just like, and I just walked down the court. And then we get a defensive stop and everything. And, I was like, I'm in my head, it's like, you just hit a game winner in the NBA. I'm keeping myself together. I like to stay calm. But the inside of me is so excited, and I'm so happy. At that point, I couldn't hold it in. I was just smiling the rest of the day. Like the rest of the night, like when I went to dinner, everything, like I was just smiling, and it was a great experience. And, that whole season just kind of propelled me to where I am now, where I have an expectation of myself to be better than what I was even that season. So, yeah, man, I really enjoyed that year so much.